Hello everybody and welcome back to yet another video, and to a pretty special video because a new Cars attraction has just opened in one of the Disney parks. More specifically, the Cars road trip ride in Walt Disney Studios in Paris. That's sort of Paris's version of Florida's Disney Hollywood Studios, formerly MGM Studios. So before I get into my specific thoughts on this ride, I may as well preface it by saying a few things. I've never been to the Disneyland Paris park. I've been to both of the US parks several times, and I'm pretty familiar with them, but I'm not as familiar with the Disneyland Paris parks. I should also mention that this isn't an entirely new ride built from the ground up. This is a retheme to what used to be their studio tram tour. It was called Behind the Magic, and it had this big set piece in it called Catastrophe Canyon. Now, again, I've never seen Catastrophe Canyon, but apparently several aspects from the former ride are reused here, which makes sense. Disney does that all the time with their rethemes. You know, there are basically two types of Disney rides. There are entirely new rides, and then there are rethemes when they go back to one of their older rides and retheme it to a different thing, like when they changed a Tower of Terror to be themed around Guardians of the Galaxy. There are always going to be several aspects reused. But now, let's go over the ride itself. You are loaded into your tram and are guided through Route 66 with Cruz and Sally, who are shown on a screen, actually fully animated and voice acted, basically narrating the entire time. Now, this is Disneyland Paris, so what they did was they had Sally speaking in full French and Cruz responding in English, which I found to be a very interesting strategy to get both English-speaking and French-speaking people caught up on how the ride works. It was definitely an interesting strategy. So you'll have Sally speaking in full French, and then Cruz responds in English. You could still get a sense of what's going on by just hearing what Cruz is saying. I don't speak any French, and I was able to basically get a grasp on the ride pretty well. But that's definitely an interesting strategy to do that. Now, I've got to say, it was really nice to see Cruz being used again. Feels like with new Cars content, they're kind of half and half as to whether or not Cruz will be included in it. She wasn't in either of those Pixar popcorn shorts from earlier this year. She's been missing from several of the post-Cars 3 Expanded Universe diecast lines. So, although I'm not the biggest fan of Cruz, I just thought it was really good to see her again, because of just how weirdly excluded she is from some Cars stuff. It was good to have her here in a major role. I'm always glad whenever we see new content that takes place after Cars 3, and it's good to see, just a bit more of Cruz after Cars 3. Now in the ride, Sally and Cruz, they're going for their drive along Route 66. You're in your very slow-moving tram, just kind of taking in the scenery. And I've got to say, for a ride that's based around seeing different scenery, I found the scenery quite a bit underwhelming. There were several different jokes and gags. There were several different very large car-themed items, but I just wish they had put a bit more there. Now, one of the main complaints that I've heard about this ride has been just how similar it is to its previous incarnation. I can't confirm nor deny that, since I was never on the previous incarnation. I've never seen it, but I've got to say, definitely a bit barren here, and I wish they could have added a bit more. They go past a giant wrench, a giant lug nut that McQueen is driving through for some reason. Why is McQueen there? I don't know. He's the main character. You had to include McQueen in there somehow. He's driving through this giant lug nut with Luigi and Guido on either side of him. The Cars characters are basically static figures, just with moving eyes, and the dialogue just comes out of them, which I didn't really expect more. Maybe they light up a bit. I wasn't expecting, like, McQueen's Racing Academy tier animatronics of them. So after you see two very large car-themed items, you see another very large car-themed item, the world's largest road map. And I thought this was actually pretty clever, because it turns out that this world's largest road map is actually the backside of the close-by Ratatouille show building. The Ratatouille ride in this park is right by the tram tour here. So they disguised the back of the Ratatouille building by painting it like a giant road map. I thought that was pretty clever. Just like your classic case of Disney ingenuity. trying not to break the immersion of their parks. But still, I found it all pretty barren. There really wasn't all that much in this opening part of the ride aside from uh, just these very large car-themed items. There were some billboards, and of course you have constant commentary from Cruz and Sally, which is nice. The billboards were really nice to see. They had some nice references on them. There was one for the Copper Canyon traffic maze, which is a nice callback to Copper Canyon from Cars 3. I'm not sure where Copper Canyon was supposed to be. I'm not sure if it would be on Route 66, but it's a bit of a nice callback. There's a reference to a magnet mine, which Cruz makes some comments on, and there is an ad for the Ghost Garage, which is probably my favorite little joke in the ride. There's a billboard asking, "Can you spend one night in the Ghost Garage?" Which, I don't know, I really like that. It's kind of similar to like the Haunted Mansion. Not sure if it's supposed to be a reference to the Haunted Mansion ride. In Paris, it's Phantom Manor anyway, but it's one of my favorite attractions, so it's nice to see something sort of similar here in the Cars universe. And then you move on to Catastrophe Canyon. But first, there are several very large fences telling you that you're about to go to Catastrophe Canyon. Once again, I don't think they're using up space very well. You could have put some other things in here, but no, just some very, very large fences telling you, oh, you're this close to Catastrophe Canyon. And, they're not really hiding the fact that Catastrophe Canyon is a retheme of Catastrophe Canyon. It's literally the same name, just with a car pun crammed into it. Catastrophe Canyon was part of the original tram tour ride, where there was this oil tanker in a canyon, and some stuff gets set on fire, and then this huge, deluge of water comes down and puts out the fire. And here, that part has been rethemed to Cars with a really cool design. First ever time we're seeing this, a Dynaco fuel tanker. That's awesome. I really like the design here for a Dynaco fuel tanker. Despite Dynaco being a gas company, we've never seen a Dynaco fuel tanker. Kind of surprising now that I think of it, but I really like this character design, and it's one of only a few new sort of designs throughout this entire ride. I really like it. I think it's a pretty cool thing that they did. Of course, it's just like a new design, like a carified version of the previous normal oil tanker. So the oil tanker accidentally sets some stuff on fire, and then, like I said, all of this water comes down. Again, just a simple retheme of the previous thing. It looks pretty impressive. It looks really cool, especially at some different angles that I've seen it at in different videos of it. But again, it's really not all that much. And if you're hoping for more like it on the ride, there really isn't that. This is just like the big set piece for the ride. After that, you go along your merry way, and Cruz and Sally start talking once again. And now they're talking about how Mater has done all of these different things. Mater keeps on making his own version of different landmarks from around the world. He did the statue of Lizzie T, or something along those lines, which is the Statue of Liberty, but it's like a Model T like Lizzie, which is actually pretty similar to how the Statue of Liberty appears in the World of Cars book, compared to how it appears in Planes, where it's a pity. But yeah, here it's that Mater has made his own version of the Statue of Liberty. He made the Great White Wall of China, which is like the Great Wall of China, but made out of white wall tires. And now we're hearing that Mater has made a new thing, which is the Eiffel Tower. 10 out of 10, guys. Great pun. So you see this Eiffel Tower, and this is actually what the ride ends on. Mater's made the Eiffel Tower out of fuel. Fillmore's there too. Fillmore is also speaking in English for some reason, while all of the other characters, aside from Cruz, are speaking in French. Mater's speaking in French as well, so kind of weird to have Fillmore there in English. And then just like that, the ride is over. So yeah, like I said, a little bit underwhelmed by this ride. I felt like many parts of it were just kind of barren, and that they didn't use space very well. There was just such a large amount of space dedicated to the world's largest items, and the fenced area for Catastrophe Canyon. I think they really could have just done more with it. It's kind of empty. Yeah, it's supposed to be this road trip ride, but honestly, there wasn't all that much interesting stuff to see. Now, what I did see I liked, especially with the Dynaco oil tanker, and it was nice to see some new fully animated content with Cruz and Sally. I really liked all the Easter eggs and references. I really liked the billboards. And there was always something to see on the screen inside of the ride vehicle because of all that animated stuff. I just wish there was a bit more to see outside on the actual ride. The main thing you're hearing is how similar this is to its previous incarnation. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I think that they just should have done more with the concept, just in general. I totally get just retheming the ride to make it Cars themed, but I just wanted to see more. I know I keep repeating that, but that's just like, I don't know, that's sort of my final verdict on this ride. I like what I saw, but I wish I had seen more just in the ride in general. Anyway though guys, those are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. I'll link a video to a ride through of this ride so that you guys can check it out for yourself. And yeah, let me know what you think. I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.